Hi, I'm Frank DeFelice.
And I'm Jim Cassis. We both have been nurses for over 25 years.
The thing is, Jim and I have spent almost our entire careers in the operating room.
And there's much more to nursing than just the operating room. The nursing profession is a widely diverse field.
Yeah, Jim, with many specialty areas. There's the ER, pediatrics, hospice, school nurse, the list goes on and on.
We are on a mission to explore the nursing profession. That's why we created our show, Real Talk with Real Nurses. This journey will take us out of the OR and out into the nursing community.
Our show is driven by interviews with nurses who describe what they do, how they do it, and share their personal stories. So welcome to Real Talk with Real Nurses.
Or as we like to call it, the Jim and Frank Show.
And that too, yeah.
Another episode of Real Talk with Real Nurses coming right up.
Welcome to Real Talk with Real Nurses. I'm Frank DeFelice.
And I'm Jim Cassis.
Well, welcome to our formal introduction episode. This is our very first episode with Real Talk with Real Nurses. And this is going to be a get to know me and Jim. Some of you do know us, some of you don't. And then we're going to get into what Real Talk with Real Nurses is and how we got started and how we ended up here.
This is our inaugural show, so we're going to be polishing up some of the rough edges for our first show.
All right, so I was getting into my bio first, I guess. So I've been a registered nurse since 1993. I spent a couple years in med-surg, and then I transferred to the operating room. I've been there ever since. I've been a nurse for 29, going on 30 years now. Most of, let's just say, just about all of my career in the operating room. CNOR certified, which is a national certification for operating room. I've also, I've joined Jim with the union delegations. We have a union at our hospital, and I'm one of the delegates that help with labor management meetings and negotiations for contracts. And that's pretty much it.
So Frank, why'd you get into nursing?
I got into nursing because I was working in the casino industry. I went over to my mother-in-law's house one day and she said, look, there's an article in the newspaper right here saying men are getting into nursing, and we were looking at nurse anesthetist, which was my original goal. And then I said, okay, I have nothing to lose. I was getting burnt out in the casino industry. I gave the college a call. I got a guidance counselor, and it just like snowballed, and next thing you know, I was a nurse. There's more to it than that, but you get it.
Right. So,
Your bio?
I started, I became a registered nurse in 1995, so I'm on my 27th year. I started out, this was during, just before the nursing, actually just after the nursing shortage started. So, you know, when I graduated, when I was in school, recruiters were coming onto campuses and recruiting before you even graduated. By the time I finished school, there was a nursing glut. And so my first job ended up being in a nursing home. I did that for, until they closed, for it was about a year. I became a nurse at a psychiatric hospital. From there, I went on to private duty nurse. And I went back into nursing homes. I worked for the New Jersey Department of Veterans Affairs, and we did nursing for veterans. And from there, I did that for a while, and I decided it needed to change. I ran into one of my former coworkers working in the operating room, and he told me about a perioperative program they were offering. And 2022, I went into the, 2002, I went into the operating room, and I never turned back. I got into nursing because at the time I worked for a finance company and I was getting burnt out, and I had premature twin boys, and I saw the type of care that nurses were doing, and I decided that I want to get into a field where I was helping people, and even on your worst day, at the end of the day, you know you did some good, and that's why I went into nursing.
Jim's got a better story than me.
They were all valid stories.
Okay, so that pretty much takes care of who we are. Now we're kind of going into what we are, and what is Real Talk with Real Nurses. And basically, our intro sums it up. We're two guys that spent most of our careers in the operating room. We're shut off, the doors are shut. We maybe go to lunch and come back to the operating room. It's a kind of a closed unit, and we don't get out much. So I always notice, Jim, we've had this conversation. We enjoy when we go to interdepartmental meetings or events, nursing events, conferences. It's always, I love talking to the other nurses and see what they're doing and what's going on in their careers. And
Right, and you know, at our facility, I was on the nursing council, professional council, where we discussed a lot of issues in nursing in the hospital over the years. And you got to get a little taste of what some of the other nurses were dealing with on their units. But unfortunately, until you walk in somebody else's shoes, it's really hard to understand what they're going through. So we decided, wouldn't it be great if we had a show where we could talk about nursing issues, talk to other nurses on different units to get their perspective on how nursing is for them today. And Frank was very much into video, and he'll talk to you about how he got into the whole.
Yeah. I was a late bloomer in the video, but more into Real Talk with Real Nurses. We were hoping that we started this idea in 2017 or something like that.
Probably about that.
And we've had many roadblocks. COVID was a two-year hiatus.
Right.
But we always hoped that this could blossom into some kind of a platform for nurses to voice their concerns and things like that. We wanted to get out there and do events and bring guests. Our whole show is geared towards bringing guests. You can see we can sit 4 people here. And that's what this show is really, the direction that we wanted to go all those years ago. And we hope to continue it.
Right.
So
Frank, what were some of our roadblocks? Why don't you talk about that?
we can talk about the roadblocks as we go, I guess. COVID being the biggest one. But we could start out where we can go from where we started. How and where did we start? And me and Jim have always done stuff together. We've always worked together. We went to a computer class, remember, Jim, where we took apart computers, put them back together again. Jim said one day, "Do you want to buy a gun?" And we went to.
That's another episode. Well, we also took classes on word processing and what was the course we took over at ACC?
We took a lot of them.
Yeah, you took Excel. We took some video editing programs and that kind of stuff because we're just interested. Being the older guys, not being a newer generation, we were trying to teach ourselves about technology. We were both interested in technology. I had my first computer in 1995. The first PC, personal computer, I remember was 256 megabytes. Yeah. Woohoo! So we had an interest in keeping up with technology.
Right.
And
we're older. I'm 58, and Jim.
I'll be 64 in a month
so it's
and a
not
half.
like we just pick up a TikTok and start TikToking.
Right. Yeah.
A little more involved for us. So how we got started? Well, we really got started in this venture kind of by fooling around. We had there's a Pixay app for Android on phones that assigns word bubbles. So if anybody knows me and Jim, we've always done these memes and things where we take pictures of people and assign word bubbles, and
Well, actually started out as taunting. We had a coffee cart, and in the afternoon, if we had a break, you got out of your room early, you took a run down to the coffee cart. A lot of times I was in the late room, and Frank would end up in the coffee cart, and he would send me a taunting video a photo for Pixie, him down at the coffee cart with one of our other coworkers.
And it usually was Tiffany Parker, who doesn't work with us anymore. And shout out to her if she ever gets full circle back into this video. But I always took her down. She was always game for coffee. And then one day I went to Florida.
And it started a tit for tat. I said, okay, well, I'm going to start doing these Pixie where I would take. So I started taking down.
Well, what started it was Jim sent me a text while I was in Florida. If you snooze, you lose. And it was with Tiffany Parker down at the coffee cart.
Right.
And then I responded, and then you responded, and then we got everybody that we worked with started with posing at the coffee cart.
Yeah, they thought it was all funny, and everybody wanted to be in on the gag.
Right.
So the next thing you know, we had surgeons, we had all kinds of people who want to be in the gag, and it started out almost like a meme war. You know, we're doing these memes against, and it started to develop, and it just started to snowball. Actually got a little out of hand toward the end. It was getting crazy.
And then Jim, we were waiting for his response. I made this bigger cartoon thing, and everybody's saying, "Where's Jim's response? Where's Jim's response?" And then finally, Jim had a real good ending to that, and that was the end. That was the start of it. And then we decided to use that format to help one of the girls that we work with. Their husband has a deli in a local deli.
Let's do a shout out. Blitz's,
Ocean City.
New Jersey. Just in case.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, so we decided we'd continue fooling around, and we'd do an ad campaign. And it was a search for Blitzy. Blitzy was the mascot for... We had the costume, and he was the mascot for the deli, and we were searching for him. He went missing, and we involved everybody, people that we work with, family members, Dave and Joan from the deli, everybody that was involved. Took pictures of all the local areas: Atlantic City, Ocean City, beach, boardwalk,
yes,
everything.
Surgeons were involved, nurses were involved, family members. Everybody wanted in on the act.
Right. And so that culminated. That took the entire summer. Meanwhile, me and Jim were developing our skills with those classes that we went to. We're working with Photoshop and the Pixie app and combining the both, and made these, I call them human cartoons, where we actually have people with the word bubbles and enhanced photographs.
We use a comic book style format, and so basically we had panels just like a comic book, and we ended up with, I think it was 100,
I'm looking at 102 right here. Yeah, 102 really.
Yeah, 102 pages. And it was quite an endeavor. It took us all summer.
Yeah, all summer, and a lot of learning, and we enjoyed it. It was really an exercise for us also to improve our skills. To what end, we didn't know. Which brings us to the next step. I took a video once of my grandson, and we were at a water park, and I used iMovie, which was the unsupported iPhone app, and I'm an Android guy, so it was another learning thing. But I learned I did a couple video editings with it, and did a couple videos. But that video, I was hooked. I was like, oh, yeah, you could do this. I could do special effects on it. I like to put credits in it and everything. So we were kind of hooked on video, at least I was. And then you probably had the idea, or maybe it was Joan. Jewel Cooper, who's a nurse with us. Rest in peace, Jewel Cooper. But she was like the heart of the operating room, and she was retiring. So somebody came up with the idea, why don't you do a video on her retirement? And this video involved everybody, involved skits particular to Jewel, and it got out of hand.
Yeah. Well, it was an homage to her, and we wanted to make it funny. The reason she claimed she had DNR tattooed on her chest, and that she was never going to leave the operating room. Unfortunately, she developed a heart condition, and she was no longer able to work, so she was forced to retire. And so we made this video as an homage to her and for her retirement party. And there we had politicians. We had
Well, was it? Yeah, I mean, it was something like going from a couple videos to making a 30-minute video
after editing.
after editing that was now presented with 100+ people in a restaurant. Like you said, a politician, Van Drew, I think.
Jeff Van Drew, right?
Yeah, he happened to stop by, who knew the sister, and everybody's watching this video, and I'll tell you, you push play, me, Jim, and Joan were like, hope they like it, because it's 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
But it was a success.
I was worried that it wouldn't hold their attention, but it absolutely did. And so that's one of always the discussions we have is how long can we keep your attention for?
Right.
You know?
Oh, by the way, wake up.
Yeah. Frank was successful, and the 30 minutes, we held their attention. We had people laughing. We had people crying.
All right. So, and then to keep it moving, then right after that, we're saying, like, what other project, is cool? What other project could we get into, right? And then we were offered this room, which is in the back of an office, very generously offered to us to make a makeshift studio. Right. And then we decided what kind of a show are we going to do. We tossed around ideas. Yeah. Jim, I think you came up with this, because I can pretty much remember you.
Yeah.
So we said, like, let's keep it in nursing, right?
Right. Something we know about, we can discuss what's going on. At the time, we didn't have, there weren't as many nursing issues as there are now, or it was more relevant now than ever with everything that's going on in nursing. And again, it was something we knew, and we talked about, well, let's ask other nurses about their jobs. We know about our jobs. We want to make it so that even the layperson, somebody who may be interested in becoming a nurse, or the families want to know what nursing is really like.
Yeah, what are their family members doing at work?
Right, and and since we only know the OR, where Frank was on the floor for a couple of years, we wanted other perspectives. And we wanted somebody to know, well, that's what an ICU nurse is. That's what a med-surg floor does, or orthopedics or neuro floor.
Yeah, and the differences in nursing, which is, there are literally hundreds of positions, variations and specialties of nursing. So, okay. All right, so we're moving on. So we were just about to, we were polling people, trying to recruit guests, when all of a sudden, the union negotiations for a contract started heating up, and then
so we had just I was very much into Facebook and social media. I had used Facebook to create a family group page for genealogy, and I eventually reached out and found a lot of family members like that. And since we were going through the negotiations, one of the things we had a problem with was getting the information out to our members. So I had suggested, why don't we create a Facebook page, and on that Facebook page, we could use that as a form of communication to people, so we can put out, a post and keep people apprised of what was going on. And while we were here, we were joking around. Oh, why don't we make up skits and we could make fun of people and stuff like that? Just joking around, and that kind of started the whole idea about, hey, why don't we just make a show and do this.
And it was like a news type show that informed our nurses about, not public, it was private, and it informed of what was going on at negotiations. We also covered informational picketing, strike day, and various things that if nurses weren't there, because they work shifts, they could be updated.
Right, they could go anytime and see the updates of what's going on. And negotiations can be a very stressful time, and we want to add some levity to it, so we decided to make it almost like a Saturday Night Live with a pseudo news show.
Yeah. So we integrated some humor into the newscast, and of course that went off the rails too. That's what me and Jim do. Yeah. And but we did inform our membership as we went along, but we had
a backstory. We had a backstory that we developed, and it almost got to the point where the backstory became the front story.
To the point, it was an 11-episode project, and the 11th episode I don't think contained any union negotiation information.
It was just, okay, we have to take this somewhere, we have to have an end game, and we did, and it came out fairly nicely. We had a good feedback on that.
And this was also very important to me and Jim, because we had a studio, and we built a news desk, not this one.
Yeah.
And we had, this sign is original, but everything else we redid.
Frank used a green screen a lot. You'll see that in some of our videos.
And Sure Nurses Update, which was the series that we did to update the union negotiations, we used a green screen, but we went through how many variations of green screen. We had clotheslines, green screens, weights, IV poles, anything you could think of was, and it never worked. So we finally came up with, and eventually we're going to have a set construction episode, because it was pretty
we went through a lot of stages through this. So this is hopefully our final stage, right, Frank?
This is our final stage.
This is it. So,
basically, we wanted to give you an idea of what that looked like, since it was never aired publicly. The Jewel video was never aired publicly, for that matter. We're going to put all that stuff on Third Stage Productions Facebook page, just so we don't clutter our Real Talk with Real Nurses with it. But if you're interested, it'll be posted there. But I always said that this project was like kind of like the NASA's manned program. Yeah. Every time we did a show, we tried something new, whether it set us back or forward, and we learned from it. We went through like 3 audio systems, 2 or 3 camera apps and stuff that we did, 4 green screens, it went on and on and on.
So we'll have an outtake of some of our Pixay shots, some of our Blitzy shots, and then Sure Nurses Union, to give you an idea of how we progress. And hopefully there won't be too many embarrassing photos in there.
Right. And also, we made a blooper.
There's a blooper reel too.
Blooper reel, because there was a lot of bloopers, ladies
absolutely.
and gentlemen. And I hope you get a sense of what a big project it is while we're working and on call. Right.
And negotiations and
everything else.
Right.
So anyway, back to Real Talk with Real Nurses. So we resurrected the Real Talk with Real Nurses, dusted off the old sign.
Frank decided, since we had nothing else to do, why don't we rebuild the set that we took us months to do the first time?
Right.
Actually, that was the second or third time. I lost count.
Well, anyway, so we were kind of ready to go in 2020, and then, of course, COVID hit. And then we thought we were over that, and then Omicron and Delta and all these variants start hit. And 2 years of downtime. So that's when we decided, let's upgrade the studio a little bit. So we got new wireless lavaliers, 2 DSLR cameras. We started with this backdrop to complement our sign. I said, Jim, can you do me a favor and design me a real desk? The other one you hit.
Well, to be fair, the other one was designed, our show was going to be on the go, and we were going to go places, so it had to be something that was collapsible and movable. It wasn't meant to be stationary, where Frank wanted to look more like a news studio and decided he wanted this horseshoe-style shape.
Jim showed up to the studio one day, and I made this little 3D, I'll show you a picture, a little 3D, and I said, Jim, can you make me one of these?
And I said, sure, but it's not going to stand up. It's going to fall over. So we had to come up with a new design, and Frank had to have a semicircle, which I never will want to do anything like this again. But it was a learning experience. I thought it came out well.
And I just want you to let you know that, what is it, Newsday, or what's that show in the morning that we never get to watch because we're at work? Like the most popular show on TV. Good Day or something.
Good Morning America?
Good Morning America.
Okay,
I think they have the same design now that I look at it. Theirs is bigger, but But I wasn't far off. I mean, it's a cool.
Right.
It's very functional. Well, anyway, that brings us back to we wanted to thank people to help us along the way with this update. I wanted to thank Rose Miller. She's the voice of Third Stage Productions and all our voiceovers. Joe Guerrero, Eddie Marple, Kenny Morton, Krista Beyer, who made these mugs and shirts for us, Diane Giannata for hanging in there for 2 years, and Lisa Ruiz for making this all possible.
Yes.
Yeah, so anyway, that brings us back to our platform. Our platform, there are, again, 3.5 million nurses in the United States, 28 million nurses worldwide. We've established this platform, Real Talk with Real Nurses, over social media to reach out to these people, as many as that we can. We have TikTok, Instagram, of course, our show's on our YouTube channel. And Jim, you've designed 2 Facebook pages.
Right. So we have 2 Facebook pages called Real Talk with Real Nurses. One is public and one is private. The reason we have to is, like we said, we want to use humor. So we've made some funny memes and GIFs and small videos. And we made it public so people will be able to share in the humor, share their concerns. Yet we know because of the way social media is now, you have to be very careful what you say. So I wanted a private group where nurses were free to voice their concerns without any possible repercussions. So that's why we have a private page. And you'll see when we have our show, we'll be posting it both on the public and the private. And but people can make comments on the private page without fear of any kind of repercussions at their jobs or even in their communities.
And the public page is shareable.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's shareable. All right. So we hope you join us for our next show, where we're going to talk about the state of the nursing profession in 2022. We're going to talk about what's going on, and there's a lot going on in nursing right now. And so for our inaugural episode.
Thank you for watching our inaugural episode.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Me and Jim are going to have a little toast
By the way,
for an idea that took years to get off the ground.
and by the way, Frank's an amateur winemaker, so this is his wine.
This is Clone 169, Jim. All right. So thanks for watching Real Talk
With Real Nurses. See you soon.
Hey, don't forget to comment. We'd love to know what's happening in your nursing world. Click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you stay in the loop.